30, sprints out. Looking, stops, in trouble, and he gets decked at the 30-yard line. Wow, what a hit. And that's Perrion Winfrey. Here's Mertz. In the pocket, and he gets crushed. Wow, Daxton Hill shot out of a cannon.
The reverse into the hands of Presley. Presley, the wide receiver, just got lit up. J.L. Skinner laying the wood.
Welcome back to the Devy IDP Grind. I'm Daryl. I'm joined by Brock and Justice. What's going on, guys?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. Is Choppy alive down there? Is he?
Yeah, I'm good. I have like a weird echo repeat thing going on. Oh, I see why. Never mind. My bad. I had the YouTube open too. So
Oh,
I'm like, why is it saying
happens.
stuff twice? I'm like, I'm so confused here. What is going on? I'm good. I'm all right, man.
right. So we missed last week. Technical difficulties. Back this week. Give us a little more to talk about. Pretty decent weekend for college football last weekend, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, it was.
You know.
At least I honestly don't know. Did Nebraska win, Choppy? I don't know. I honestly
off.
don't know.
Seriously, fuck off.
I honestly didn't know. Like I said, like I told you guys earlier, I only really watched 2 games. I watched the OU Coastal Carolina game and then the Tennessee Alabama game.
Well, then you should just shut your mouth.
Oh shoot. It's killing me here. Oh, so we'll get to moving here. Northwestern safety Coco Azima is out for the season. He had been the anchor for Northwestern defense. It's got to be uptick for Gallagher, right? Linebacker.
Yeah, and whoever's, I don't know who the next man up is for safety. There's got to be somebody.
He's been there for a minute.
Shit.
I mean, that's probably a pretty hard guy to replace. I'm sure they got something, but yeah, I mean, he kind of, I think he was one of their captains and one of the leaders of the D, so who knows?
Yeah. The Pac-12's exclusive negotiating window with ESPN and Fox Sports ended without a deal, and will now hit the open market. Who's bidding on this? Anybody? I'm sure somebody.
Well, I mean, I think the weird thing to me is that ESPN let it go, right? Because they lost so many other conferences already. You would think that they need the programming, right? Like, and so.
Well, I wonder.
Shocked.
Did they let it go because
they think they can get it cheaper?
Well, that or was like the pack, like what they're asking for financially was like unrealistic, and so they're like, well, we're going to have our offer out here, but we're just going to let it. They can go and play the field, right? Like I think Fox is. Who else are they going to go to, right? Fox is already kind of booked. Maybe ABC or somebody else wants a. I don't know. The pack is just so unattractive right now without USC and UCLA, and hasn't really went and said like, let's try to make a move, or even if they decided to do like some kind of like a conference schedule with the Big 12 to make things more appealing or something, right? They just haven't done anything. They just sat there with their thumbs up their butt and like want people to give them money. I mean, that kind of sounds like our whole younger generation anymore, I guess, but whatever. So
right.
I don't
really the only thing they got is the Pac-12 after dark now. So,
but I mean, what's that? But what's even the ratings of that? I mean, like I'm sure that Pac-12 football at 10:30, 11 o'clock East Coast time, like rates pretty well, but like, what's that rate against a 2:00 game in the MAC? It's probably about the same. You know,
Right.
I mean, I don't know how many people stay up and watch that stuff then. So yeah, I just I think they probably made a
I do.
decent
I'm a
offer,
degenerate.
but no, I just think Pac-12 is probably delusional in what they think they're going to get based on the current status of that league and what they have and what they're offering. So, and then I think there's a lot of unknown for those teams signing it because I don't think all the schools have signed a what is it called, the grant of rights or whatever deal, right?
Yeah.
Because Oregon and Washington and some of these like still in flux as far as like
What
where
they're
they can
gonna
wind
do.
up being. Yeah. So, you know, you would hate to, you know, the marquee attractions, Oregon.
Well, long term, right? They don't want to commit long term
Well, I don't think. I don't even know what they would have. Yeah, like I mean, you'd
because
hate
they don't
to,
know what they're committing to.
Yeah, you don't want to sign the Pac-12 and all of a sudden you're basically signing the Mountain West Conference, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with them, but
But I mean, we talk about ESPN not wanting to overpay, but at the same time, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it just feels like they're going to have to at some point. Pac-12 and ESPN are going to agree because ESPN needs the content,
you would think so.
right? And I mean, it just seems like them two would have to get together because of lack of other options.
well, but what I mean, what's ESPN have so far? Don't they have the SEC and the ACC?
No, I thought they lost. I thought they lost
No,
some of those though.
No, they got the ACC signed up till like year 3000 or something. You know, whatever.
And they've still got a bunch of the SEC stuff too. I don't know how much, but they've got some of it.
Because I thought they were the primary partner with the SEC still.
Didn't we? I thought
Yeah,
we
because
did
they got that whole SEC network package, so it plays together.
Who am I thinking that they lost? They lost somebody that they have now.
I have no idea what you're thinking.
Big 12, Big 10.
They don't have anything.
Big 12's with Fox, right? Big 10's. I don't know. I thought we talked about it like in a previous show that they lost somebody.
I don't think it was one of the big ones.
I'm gonna have to go back and look at our show notes.
They did lose. They did lose the Big 10 with the Fox deal, but they're pretty much exclusive. They've got the SEC wrapped up though, so I think they've got enough
content.
Well, unless they want like the late night stuff, I guess, or something. You know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, who's to say? I mean, a freaking Mississippi State Ole Miss replay is probably going to do better than freaking Oregon State, Washington State at this point.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Anyway, UCF linebacker Brandon Jennings is redshirting this season, according to head coach Gus Malzahn.
He was what, a 4-star or 5-star, wasn't he?
I think he was 5-star. He started at Maryland
Yeah.
and then went,
And he went to Maryland. And then wasn't there rumors he was going to Kansas State maybe before he ended up in Central Florida?
I think so.
I think so.
Right?
And then Kennesaw State will be moving up to the FBS and joining Conference USA for the 24-25 season.
Yeah, Conference USA is like terrible. Kennesaw State's not even like a good FCS team. They're in Georgia.
Yeah, they've had their moments, but I don't think that I know of. I don't think they've been very good lately, as of late. So,
at least Sam Houston, who they're moving up, they've been a pretty decent team. Jacksonville's been pretty decent. So I don't know. I mean, I guess they're just trying to get in the Georgia market. And I think that there's talks about that they're not done, right? That they're going to add maybe a couple more.
yeah, I don't know what their total is right now, but I guess they're trying to replace like Cincinnati.
Well,
and those
they
that are
lost
moving on,
They
so.
lost ODU, Southern Miss, and Marshall this year. They're losing like half the damn league next year.
Well, they got to do something if they want to, keep anything. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth anything more than I guess who those schools are going to play during the during the regular season. I guess so.
So it looks like that Kennesaw State will give them 10, and looks like the other ones they're looking at are Stephen F. Austin, Tarleton State, Eastern Kentucky, Missouri State, and I don't know who UCA is.
UCA. That's not.
I'm not.
I know that name, but
sure. I'm not sure who that is.
it's not a California
University.
team, is it?
It's University of CA.
Yeah, I'll have to Google it. UCA football. Central
I wanna say it's
Arkansas.
a
Central Arkansas.
Central Arkansas.
So of those, I would think Stephen F. Austin is probably the best team, right?
Well, I don't know if they're looking for good teams. I think they're just like trying to piece something together. A lot of those teams wind up playing. They play Power 5 schools every year.
Yeah, Missouri State's, I think, fairly
Decent,
decent. Yeah, I would say Stephen F. Austin and Missouri State look like the two most quality. Eastern Kentucky, those had some decent years, I think, in FCS.
Ain't that where Tony Romo come from?
I don't
That's
know.
Illinois.
Eastern Illinois,
Eastern Illinois. Ah,
You were close, except for you.
I was so close. Kentucky, Illinois.
Yeah.
Doesn't really
But,
matter.
I mean, Conference USA is clearly the worst conference in FBS.
Well, like I said, they're just trying to hold it together, and I don't know if.
Yeah, that's really what it is Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Really.
So the only ones left, it looks like, from 2 years ago or last year was UTEP, Louisiana Tech, Florida International, Middle Tennessee, Western Kentucky. That's it. Everyone else is brand new. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So half the league's going to be new next year with 5 new people plus 2
And I
more.
think 4 of those 5 are probably happy to see that, right? Middle Tennessee, UTEP, Western Kentucky, and whoever the other one was, not or La Tech. So I would gotta imagine those 4. They're like, heck yeah.
Well, yeah, they didn't have any other options to go anywhere else.
Well, Conference USA wasn't good anyway. I mean, who?
Well, it was 5 years ago.
Yeah, but I mean, as they started after they
started losing everybody.
Well, everybody branched off and they made the American Conference and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the Conference USA hasn't been relevant for a while, and now it's even less, And I mean, I think that.
I mean, they took in Liberty, and no one else wanted Liberty because Liberty has Alabama. Well, the problem is Liberty has Alabama money.
Yeah, Liberty.
They got that kind of money, so no one else
money,
wants. No one else wants them because you can't. These other schools can't, from a dollar standpoint, can't compete.
No, I mean Liberty doesn't necessarily need the conference money that they're getting. They've got their own means.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And so, I mean, I feel like the only reason they got into Conference USA is because Conference USA didn't have a lot of options remaining to pick.
Right.
And Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee both tried to get in the MAC, and the MAC didn't want them. So,
yeah, it's
and Western Kentucky, I believe Western Kentucky and Middle Tennessee and Louisiana Tech all used to be in the Sun Belt. They left the Sun Belt to go to Conference USA, and so they burnt the bridge with the Sun Belt. So,
yeah,
I will say, as an Old Dominion fan, I'm ecstatic Old Dominion's in the Sun Belt, so and no longer in Conference USA.
Yeah. I'm like Chop. I think that's just their way of trying to Band-Aid it and hold it together and keep what little face they have left. So And who knows? Maybe somewhere down the road they can pick up a team or two that's up and coming, but not
I mean, I just
likely
don't
at
know
this point.
who's. I don't know.
It would have to be something from FCS.
North Dakota
right?
State, I don't think is ever going to leave FCS, right? I mean,
Yeah.
why would
South
they?
Dakota State's not going to leave.
I mean, maybe you could get them
Montana
two.
and those guys
And
are
if they
not going to
did,
leave.
like, what would make the most sense? Both of them go to like Mountain West, right?
Yeah, I think it would have to be more of a.
If you're Conference USA, you look at like Grambling and Jackson State and give those,
Yeah, maybe one of those schools, sure.
and that's your, because they kind of got a following and a fan base built in, and you kind of look at the the HBCUs, right, and maybe that could be what your conference becomes for Division One. But I don't know if that's even. If that's feasible or not. I just, someone's going to be the bottom all the time, and that's just where they are. It is what it is. I mean, there's probably still like a decent TV deal out there somewhere for them. If like to get the.
Well, they're definitely the bottom for the foreseeable future.
Well, I mean,
but things like that, wouldn't you think that they would have to have? I mean, you'd have to have a pretty good package, right? Like TV rights, conference money. You would have to, if just my thinking, if I'm Jackson State, I'd want it'd have to be a pretty dang big deal for me to leave being a top power at the FCS to want to go to being at the bottom power of.
If I'd wager to bet, and I don't even have any numbers in front of me, but if Conference USA could give schools $8 million a team, based on their TV thing, I don't know.
Think it's that much anymore. I think it's closer to I think it's closer to 3-ish.
But I mean, what's Jackson State get? I mean, that can't be much.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you have to, so I don't know.
I will say Conference USA that their TV rights deal is crap.
Well, most of them are. I mean, outside of.
Well, I think the big problem with Conference USA is not just from a money standpoint is it crap, but from a platform standpoint. Like, sometimes it's on Stadium, sometimes, it's on Conference USA TV. Like, they don't even have a deal with like ESPN Plus or nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, like the joke used to be if you want their that their TV platform was gas station TV. You're pumping the gas and the little screen comes up on TV. That's where their games are at. That was the joke.
I'd probably fill up my tank just to sit there and watch it for a couple minutes, though.
Well, but that's what. I mean, sadly though, but that's kind of what I could see the MAC and the Sun Belt and even the American teetering to as more of these super conferences come out there.
Sun Belt's got a pretty good deal with ESPN right now.
Well, they do, but if ESPN's
how long it lasts, I don't
know. The only reason they might have that deal with ESPN right now is because they got a sweetheart deal with the ACC.
Well, and I think what helps, like at least the Sun Belt and the MAC, is the midweek games.
Yeah.
So they're giving ESPN games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday nights, Friday.
Plus, it helps you got teams like App State that's just giving up points left and right and scoring a lot of points and pulling up.
Or Coastal Carolina. I mean,
right.
No, but if the money's right, don't you think that the Big 12 would happily throw games on Wednesday nights?
Maybe, but I don't know. It's a good question.
I mean, I would think they would.
I mean, I definitely think Thursday and Friday. I don't see them doing. I don't see them doing the Tuesday, Wednesday thing. But
speaking of Wednesday, we got games this week, Wednesday.
So I think next week is it starting on the 27th. We got like a month straight.
It's like 28 straight days of football.
Yeah. Either NFL or college game on every night.
Yeah.
Nebraska linebacker Luke Reimer was out against Purdue with an upper body injury. Choppy, our insider, what can you tell us there, buddy?
He ain't good, so who cares?
That's awesome. He's not terrible either.
Don't hate me. I just reading the show sheet there, buddy. You can thank Justice for all that.
The nice thing about Nebraska linebackers is they got plenty of other linebackers that can miss tackles, so it all works out good. It's all good.
But Reimer's not bad. He's not horrible.
Good. He's pretty horrible. Come on.
Is he Cody Barton horrible?
Probably. I mean, he's one of those guys that he chalks up stats and things like that, but he watched the game play. I mean, he's not. He is what he is. You know. I mean,
yeah.
I know.
But like you said, for a fancy player, he's not bad.
Right, for a fancy player. When we say not bad, that's my point of reference.
Yeah,
no, but
we are a fancy podcast here, you know.
Right.
I'm just saying. I don't know if you realized that all this time there, Brock.
I don't care. I would rather have a linebacker that sucks and doesn't get tackles but doesn't miss tackles than play a guy that whiffs on tackles and the other team all he's doing is making tackles 9 yards down the field and he's getting little freaking fake assists all the time. That's Luke Reimer.
Fake assist.
He's a pile jumper.
He is.
It's a whole new stat category.
It should
pile
be
jumping.
Fake assist.
Well, that's like your boy at ODU.
Jason Henderson.
Yeah, he's a pile jumper. Is all he is.
He's a damn good one though.
That's right.
Yeah, but from the
he didn't do so great this past week. Though Ryan Henry did better.
From the Devy aspect, that means nothing.
Right?
Well, yeah, but I understand for a Nebraska player, but you ain't picking an Old Dominion player expecting him to make the NFL anyway. So,
well, you're not picking a Nebraska player. If you've watched their defense for the last 10 years, you're not picking a Nebraska defensive player for the NFL either. So,
I don't know. I think Mathis is. I mean, he's at least ragging up the tackles, man.
No,
he said no. Oh shoot. And that concludes our Husker report, brought to you by Chopley.
I think we can refer to it as the. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, you work on the title of that.
Well, I'll just keep it. I'm just keeping this PG-13. So move along.
Michigan State defensive back Kendall Brooks missed the game against Wisconsin with an injury, but defensive back Xavier Henderson was back. He hadn't played since the season opener. What are we doing with Henderson? I mean, he's not, like you said, not played since the season opener.
I don't think he did a whole lot in that game either.
I don't think he did either, and I don't think you can expect a whole lot from him going forward either. Really, I mean, he's going to be a little rusty. To me,
it'll be interesting to see how it plays out with him and Brooks when Brooks comes back.
Right.
Well, you got
is Brooks expected to miss a long time, or do we know?
I don't know. You got Angelo Gross there too.
Oh, that's just disgusting. Some interesting facts here by Mr. Justice. First 7-0 start for Ole Miss since 2014.
I think Brock provided these. I just copied them.
Well, thank you, Broccoli. First start for Ole Miss at 7-0 since 2014. First 6-0 start for Tennessee since 98. Syracuse since 87. UCLA since 05. TCU since 2017. Michigan has started back-to-back seasons at 7-0. And it's the first time not starting 7-0 for Alabama since 2015. And you're welcome. And Tennessee beat Alabama 52-49 on Saturday, and the Iowa Hawkeyes have scored 47 points the entire season.
Man, that is just so bad, right? How can you have such a good defense and your offense is just so terrible?
Well, first of all, Petrus is horrible, and it's not all on him, but
it's not. But I mean, their offense has been not good for a long time.
Well, I mean,
If they can't run the ball, they can't do nothing.
Their offense is stuck in 1986.
Well, yeah.
Right? And
Yeah. And they've
that's the
literally got
problem.
one of the best defenses in college football, and they're going to waste it on a putrid offense like that. I don't know if y'all have watched any of their games, but you can't even watch their offense. It's just
it's bad.
It's horrible. So you flip it over for defense, and then when they let them score or have to whatever, turn it off because it's pretty bad.
And they're playing Ohio State this week, so.
Oh. Which is a shame because they're probably going to defensively. They're probably going to play Ohio State is probably as good as anybody.
Right, but they ain't going to score. So
they ain't scoring jack crap against them on offense.
Their problem is that defense is going to wear down quick against Ohio State.
Yep.
They're not. I mean, like you could stay in there and hold Iowa State to 10 or whatever the hell it was and stuff like that, but you're not going to see that against Ohio State. I mean, if you're continually going 3 and out and giving the team back to them, it's just a matter of time. I mean, they're going to give up 40 plus to Ohio State.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I would think so. I mean, I don't see there's any way that they really keep them under that. I wouldn't think
they can. I mean, as good as those, it's just different levels, right? I mean, it's like, for whatever Iowa's defense is. I mean, Ohio State's. I mean, it's just a different beast. They might slow them down for a minute, but like I said, I don't see how they keep them under 40.
Yeah, because I'm looking not that they, well, kind of. Let's say they held Iowa State.
What's the spread in the game? Let's see.
It's got to be
Ohio State's favored by like 4 touchdowns or something.
That's what I'm looking right now.
Yeah. The most points they gave up all season
29.
7 to Michigan.
What's that?
Ohio State's favored by 29, and the over-under is 49.5.
Yeah, like 44 points for Ohio State and 5 for Iowa.
So here's your little nugget off of that. Iowa's give up 27 points to Michigan a few weeks ago.
So they're predicting 39-10, basically.
No, 44-5.
44-5.
I'm sticking with my 44-5.
No, you're right. You're right.
So they gave up 27 to Michigan. The rest of the games combined this year, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games. In the other 5 games, they've given up 32 points.
Yeah, who are those 5 games against?
Let's see. Really, nobody. South Dakota State's okay.
Iowa?
The FCS team. Yeah. Iowa State, Nevada, they don't play defense.
Shit.
Rutgers sucks.
Shit.
Illinois, they lost to Illinois 9-6.
Yeah, they haven't really played a good offense.
Yeah.
Other than
Michigan, they played was 27-14. So they gave up 27 to Michigan, 32 to the rest of the teams combined that they played.
If Michigan can score 27 on them, Ohio State can score 40. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's in Columbus, so.
Doesn't matter where it is. It could be on your fucking aircraft carrier in the middle of the goddamn Gulf of Mexico where they're going to score fucking 40 points.
Oh. And y'all got your their senior day, they play Nebraska, so y'all might not score against them.
Well, who cares about Iowa, Nebraska? That's like the most irrelevant thing you've put out there at all.
I'm just saying. Don't get on defensive.
I get as defensive as I want. They're Hollywood.
He's just mad his team lost, our team's won. That's all.
That's exactly right.
First of all, your team, Mr. Old Dominion, is about as relevant as a
we beat Coastal Carolina, damn it.
It's about as relevant as a fly on a rotten potato.
In the grand scheme of things, you're 100% correct. But hey.
On some like decaying potato farm in the middle of Ohio or Idaho.
I don't know. We might beat Nebraska this year, maybe.
Okay, do it. I don't care. You might. That's fine.
And that
Don't even get me
concludes
started
our
on
notes.
Tennessee. You like flat billed freaking T hat over there.
That's just a hater coming out in you right there.
They just beat
I'm just
Nebraska,
saying.
dude.
Huh?
I mean, they just beat I said Nebraska. I meant Alabama.
Oh, we'll beat them too.
Well, yeah, you'll beat Nebraska for sure.
Yeah, we'll beat the brakes off them.
That's fine. It's like that's like not a big accomplishment, you know. So good way to go.
It would be a big accomplishment for ODU, though.
Yeah.
I mean, we
That'd be
did
an
beat
upset for
Virginia
y'all.
Tech, and we should have beat UVA, but those teams are both terrible.
Ugh, they're garbage. Oof.
They're terrible.
Ooh, that's rough to watch. I never forgot what I was going to say, but that does it for our news and notes. So we will go into our Devy IDP Grind Players of the Week for Week 7. I took Miles Murphy, defensive end for Clemson, in the 34-28 win over Florida State. 6 tackles, 5 solos, 2 sacks, 3.5 tackles for a loss, and 1 forced fumble. Choppy, who you got?
I've got defensive end / defensive tackle Hakeem Misador, however you want to say it, for the U versus Virginia Tech. 8 total tackles, 4 solos, 3.5 sacks, 3.5 tackles for losses, as he blew up that stout Virginia Tech team.
He's a transfer from one hand West Virginia before, I think.
I believe so, yeah. Type in my
Justice, who
lines
do
there,
you
Hollywood.
got?
I see that pop up
Huh?
when you type in there, Hollywood Titan.
I picked Chris Mojo Ojo, linebacker for New Mexico State versus New Mexico. They won 21-9. He had 15 total tackles, 11 solos, 1 sack, and 2 tackles for loss.
Sweet. I know I had Ojo in one of my lineups this week, so
I did as well. Matter of fact, he was a free agent in one league, and I needed somebody for bye week coverage, and I picked him up.
oh wow, that's a great find there. A great find.
Yeah, I'm gonna start looking at other places because I've noticed a trend. My players of the week are always linebackers.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to look.
I
there
tend
too,
to go
but
after
I've been
the high
finding some
tackle
good
guys.
ones. I've been finding some good ones on defensive line, especially now that we've entered conference play where some of these teams are not playing the big boys. So you can kind of go to these smaller conferences and find some pretty good plays if you look closely.
Yeah, because I think your boy Perales, didn't he have 4 sacks? I think he only had 4 tackles, but he had all 4 were sacks.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
he did this week.
He's got 6.5 or 7 sacks on the year, something like that. So, we want to thank Action 24/7, locally owned gambling site for Tennesseans by Tennesseans. Got all the odds, just like the big boys. Maybe you got something on tonight's Chargers. Broncos will call this a game. But maybe you've got something on that. They've got something on college, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, ping pong, darts, racing, boxing, you name it, they've got it. So go check them out. Use the promo code Hollywood100. If you're a first-time depositor, they will match you up to 400. So if you put in 400, they'll give you 4. That's 800 to bet with. So go check them out and win big, hopefully. So our power rankings.
You gotta forget don't forget these guys. Trophy Smack.
Oh yeah. Well, I was going to do that after the power ranks, but
okay.
Try not to water it down with all the promos here.
So for the Devy IDP Grinds College Side Listener League, the power rankings after week 7. So my team is still in first place, 309.65 points. Choppy is still in second place, 288.56 is his power score. Moving up to third from fourth place last week is Dougie Seminoles.
Dougie.
And I got to say, his team in that league, like the last 2 or 3 weeks, he probably has had the best score the last 2 or 3 weeks. So his team's really come on. Dropping from third to fourth was UMass FF Banterman. Staying in fifth place is Cincinnati. That's Dwight Peebles from Campus Canton. Remaining in sixth is Penn Quakers, T-Dubs. Seventh, once again, is Penn State, which is Colin Decker from C2C. Hollywood remains in eighth, his Tennessee team. Ninth is Pittsburgh, which is Austin from C2C. 10th, remaining in 10th is Kyle, Mr. Big Time. Go
Mr.
Blue.
Big Time.
11th is Texas A&M, Noob Fantasy. 12th is Tulane Daffod. 13th is Miami Canuck 49er. 14th Syracuse Jay Haggart. 15th Washington Barry Baker. And 16th, I'm gonna let Choppy announce it because Choppy does his name better than I do.
Con Norton.
Con Norton. I call him Connor 10. He calls him Con Norton. So not a lot of changes from last week. Really, the only change is Dougie. Dougie moved up a spot, and then UMass dropped a spot. Other than that, pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm. Dougie has played well the last few weeks. I've been watching some of his things. He's done really well.
Dude, he scored like 400 and some points this week. He was the last 2 or 3 weeks, his team has really. I hope I don't play him anytime soon. Put it that way.
Yeah, and maybe if he keeps playing well enough, he'll get something from our partners over at Trophy Smack. You know, Justice has a couple rings to show there. Nice high quality stuff. It's made really, really nice, as you can hear it as he drops it. It's heavy, sounds like a rock, yeah. But it really is good quality stuff, and they've been nice enough to donate rings for our listener league here on the pro side and the Canton side. So, Dougie gives you something to shoot for there, buddy. Don't let Justice win this 2 years in a row. We can't. Dude,
I'm waiting for the day. I mean, in the college side, I haven't lost in that league ever. So I am that day is going to come. I'm not looking forward to it. It almost came this week. What'd you say, Chop?
It's probably happened Saturday.
I don't know. Who do I play this week? It almost happened this past week. I only won by like 3 points. I played Colin in Penn State. Luckily, my defense outscored his defense. That kind of saved my day.
This week, me and Choppy play this week.
Let's see.
That's easy. Money.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Battle of the Unbeatens. I play UMass this week. We're both 7-0.
Oh, look at that. Choppy is 7-0 undefeated, and my Tennessee team comes rolling in here. Where have we heard this before? Yeah.
What's your record there, Slick?
2-5. So if you let me beat you this week, you better not show up next week, is all I'm saying.
I might not even start a defense. I'll just start my offense against you and see what you do.
That's not nice. That's just not fucking nice.
I don't even know what league are we even talking about. I wasn't even really paying attention.
The listener league, DIG listener league.
I'm in that.
The one that we have a podcast about.
Oh,
dude, Dougie, I was the second high scorer in the league, and Dougie outscored me by 77 points this week.
Shoo. Yowza. That's a pretty good week.
Yes, he had 475 points. He had a 313 just from his offense. That just his offense
Yeah.
alone outscored 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. His offense alone outscored half the league.
Yeah. Yeah, he had a nice week last week, for sure. And our fantasy IDP corner for week 7 with Mr. Justice.
Okay, so the Devy IDP Grind Listener League, 16-team league, the top players that were started. So this league is a little different because we start defensive end, defensive tackles, linebackers, safeties, and corners. The top defensive end was Villa Amahi Fahoko from San Jose State. Tulane David, 23 points. The top defensive tackle was Jordan Revels, Texas State. ODU Justice, 22 points. Top linebacker was Chris Ojo, New Mexico State. ODU Justice, 34 points. Top safety, Trey Fluellen, Middle Tennessee State. Seminoles Dougie, 23 points. And the top cornerback was Derek Canteen, Georgia Southern. Washington Barry Baker, 31 points.
Nice play, Barry.
The top IDP team score. So not only did Dougie have the top offensive team score, he also had the top IDP defensive team score with 199.4 points. Overall, for IDP team totals, my team is in the lead with 1,274.5 points. Choppy is in second, 103.6 points behind. And Hollywood is in sixth, 371.5 points behind. Next is Campus Canton League, 20-team league, commissioned by Choppy. The top defensive lineman was David Perales from Fresno State, owned by the U, our buddy Dooge, with 33 points. Top linebacker, Chris Ojo, New Mexico State, Tennessee, Hollywood, 34 points. Top defensive back, Kenny Logan from Kansas, owned by Clemson, Derek Brown with 27.7 points. The top IDP team score for week 7 was Texas Tech, owned by Kane, with 144.5 points. And the top IDP team season total is Choppy, 923.5 points. My team is in second, 89 points behind. And Hollywood is in 13th, 294.5 points behind. In Legends, I also have 16-team league, commissioned by Choppy. The top defensive lineman, once again, David Perales, East LA Lunatics, Stooge, 33 points. Top linebacker, once again, Chris Ojo, New Mexico State, North Park, Steve J, 34 points. Top defensive back, Zaire Barnes, Western Michigan, owned by Hollywood, 25.5 points. The top IDP team score, Howland Hunters, AJ Mancini, 168.6 points. And the top team total for the season is once again Choppy, Minnesota State, 932.6 points. My team is in second, 10.4 points behind Brock, and Hollywood is in eighth, 275.1 points behind Brock. And the last league is Toonland. It's a 24-team league. I'm the only one of the three of us in the league. The top defensive lineman, once again, David Perales, Rugrats Evan, 42 points. Top linebacker, Chris Ojo, Dexter's Lab, Austin from C2C, 36 points. Top defensive back, Kenny Logan, Kansas, Rocky and Bullwinkle, Steve J, 27.94 points. The top team score is Rocky and Bullwinkle, Steve J, 145.44 points. The top IDP team for the season so far is my team, Captain Caveman, with 970.1 points. And in second place is Rocky and Bullwinkle, Steve J, 4.58 points behind. The top scorers, regardless of whether they were started or not for week 7 for IDP, the top defensive lineman was David Perales, Fresno State, 33 points. The top linebacker was Dwayne Boyles from South Florida with 35 points. Top defensive back, Julius Wood, East Carolina, 36.4 points. And going to overall season, through 7 weeks, the top defensive lineman is Jose Ramirez, Eastern Michigan, with a total of 86 points. He is rostered in 24% of leagues and Fantrax. The top linebacker remains Jackson Mitchell from Connecticut with 150 points. He's only rostered in 21% of leagues, which is up 1% from last week. And the top defensive back is R.J. Hubert from Utah with 106 points, and he is rostered in 43% of leagues. If you're interested in more information as far as top IDP scores, whether it be defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs, also with their 24/7 stars and recruiting class, visit Campus Canton. I post those up every week. So you can search those and find free agents in your league.
Yeah, I'm just shocked that Jackson Mitchell is still out there in leagues as good as he is. That's just crazy to me.
Yeah, 21% is crazy because he's the top linebacker by a good margin, by like 20, 30 points, I think now.
Yeah. I mean, he should have, at the very least, he should be owned in 90% of leagues, and
Right.
I still think that's too low.
Well, the only thing, and I think Choppy mentioned this the last time it was just me and him, was probably hurting him is, most leagues aren't like us in scoring tackles. And so if people are just using straight up Fantrax, he's not going to score you anything because his points are tackles, right? He's not a sack guy. Not that he doesn't get sacks, but he's not. It's not what he's going to normally do.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I think that's what's. I think
and
that's
kudos to both
hurting
of you for taking the time to sit down and score tackles and hunt these stats up. I know Chop does a bunch of these leagues. You're helping me with the Devy IDP. Well, I don't want to say help because I'm not doing anything. You're doing it all. So you're doing the Devy IDP grind. But yeah, if you
it helps, right? I mean,
that, yeah.
The program I have helps. It's the program I have scores everything but forced fumbles and like block punts, block kicks. So it's very minimal what we have to look up. Unfortunately, I was out of town last week, so Choppy had to look up everything for his leagues because he didn't want to make him wait. That's a great commissioner, right? Like he manually scored all those leagues so that guys didn't have to wait until I got back home on Thursday. So
we did that all last year. So
we did. But that's the kind of commissioner you are, buddy. You're the best.
Yeah. Which kind of reminds me, it takes me back to the older days in fantasy football when you used to get the USA Today and sit down and go through the box scores. But I know it's time consuming, right? But it kind of helped me with my fantasy teams because you're seeing everything, right? You're seeing everything. Game to game. You're seeing who's doing what. And so in that respect, I kind of miss the old way, but it is a lot of work, a lot of time. So thank you all for doing that. So now we're looking at week 7, or back at week 7 on observations. Anything that stood out to you?
Well, like I said, I really only watched 2 games, so
yeah.
I mean, I will say this: the Coastal Carolina, they don't if their running game ain't working, they're in a world of hurt. They don't have. I just don't think, other than maybe like Jared Brown, they don't really have the playmate. They don't have a Javon Hiley and Isaiah Likely, to help the passing game as much. And so the other thing too, and I mean, me and Hollywood talked about it a little bit on Saturday, was, man, ODU just dominated the line on both sides, right? Oh. And like, that's not, I was a little surprised.
I was too. I wasn't ready for them to just come out and be the absolute more physical team, especially on both sides like that.
Right.
And
yes. I mean, Grayson.
It really changed the whole game.
Grayson McCall didn't have a lot of time, right? When he went.
No, he sure did.
They made him one-dimensional. He had to pass, and then, just made it worse.
Yep. So we had a few big games, top tens, Tennessee, Alabama, Clemson, Penn State, Michigan. You had, what was the other one? You had 3 top 10 games. Let's see.
I don't know where's Florida State ranked. Florida State, they're not ranked.
I don't think so. No, they weren't
I
for
thought
that
they were
game.
in the teens, but maybe they're not.
No, according to ESPN, they were not ranked at that last week. So you had the Oklahoma State TCU game.
Yeah, I think that was the other big one. I think
Mississippi State, Kentucky, not really top 10ish, but both in the top. Well, Kentucky's 22nd. NC State, Syracuse. So there were some pretty good games last week.
NC State won't be ranked. I mean, without Devin Leary, I think their season's over.
Yeah, I think they're done too.
I mean, they'll probably get another win and get to a bowl game, but
let's see here. So Wednesday night, you got Georgia State and Appalachian State, so don't forget that. Nothing big Thursday, nothing big Friday. Then heading into Saturday, you've got 5th-ranked Clemson against 14th-ranked Syracuse. I'm trying to see if there's any other top 25 matchups. You have this could be a good game. You got 9th-ranked UCLA at 10th-ranked Oregon. 20th-ranked Texas travels to 11th-ranked Oklahoma State. And I believe Mississippi State 24th against 6th-ranked Alabama. And then Kansas State goes to 8th-ranked TCU. So that's really your top 25 matchups. That's it for this upcoming week. So
you guys got a powerhouse, Tennessee Martin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. If we don't beat them by 60, there's something wrong. But
I tell you one thing Alabama's defense, man, I don't know. They have so much talent, but I'm not going to say they're bad because they're not bad, but
well,
they're not. They're not. In my opinion, they're not living up to expectations.
That's just college football for a nutshell, though, right? Like, it seems once offense start getting momentum and going, like the defense just can't, for whatever reason, keep up and stuff. And I think that you look across all those games, like throughout the weekend, and every game that was a big game, or you thought it was going to be, it was exciting, but it was all offensively exciting, right? They're all 30-plus points on both teams and stuff. So,
Will Anderson's not even close to where he was last year.
Teams are paying a lot more attention to him. They know how disruptive he is.
In almost half the games, he's got a third of the tackles he had last year.
Well, how much of that, though, too, is that the kid knows he's a top 5 pick and he wants to be smart?
That could be it.
True. Now, right? The one thing that kind of stood out to me was not that they really gave up 62 points to us, which is a lot, right? But I was kind of surprised that Saban allowed a single player, Jalen Hyatt, to score 5 touchdowns.
52.
Or 52, sorry. I said 62. 52.
Right.
I don't see him letting any player dominate him like that. I was really surprised by that. It just, like they did not learn time after time. They just kept letting him run down the field for big long catches.
Didn't have anybody, I guess they didn't have anybody to keep up with them, right? Which is surprising.
Yeah. Or even
I don't know who was
bracket him somehow.
Was Kool-Aid on McCoy?
Think so.
Best
I can remember.
I don't know if PFF tells you that. I'm gonna look it up right now.
Which we went in with no Cedric Tillman, which is probably our best receiver. He's not quite as fast as Hyatt, but overall he's probably a better receiver. But yeah, I was just shocked that they let him score 5 times. That just doesn't seem like something Saban would allow. After the first 2 or 3, I was expecting him to do something completely different, and they just never changed. I don't know if they didn't like you said, if they didn't have
Kool-
the speed to
Kool-Aid-
cover him
Kool-Aid
down
was-
the field, or
Kool-Aid was exclusively on Brew McCoy. They used a couple different people on Hyatt. DeMarco Helms was on him. Brian
he's
Branch.
more of a safety.
Brian Branch.
Branch is a safety.
Malachi Moore. Chris Braswell.
Braswell's a defensive end, or not defensive. He's a linebacker.
Yeah.
So yeah, it looks like Kool-Aid was exclusively on Brew, and then they didn't have like a single person on Jalen Hyatt.
Which I'll give it to Hyatt because there was some talk this offseason. He dedicated himself and studied harder and all the things you want to hear. So looks like it paid off.
One touchdown was against Branch, one touchdown against Malachi Moore, one against Braswell. Yeah. Didn't he have 4?
He had 5.
Well, it doesn't say who covered them.
200.
Doesn't say who covered them on the others.
I want to say 209 yards.
Yeah, it doesn't show who covered them on the other 2 touchdowns. No one did. That's the problem.
He was wide open. Trying to look to see what other matchups might be high scoring here. Ooh, how bad has Notre Dame looked this year? Oof.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they lost their starting quarterback too, so.
True. Yeah. I mean, there's not a whole lot of high-profile games.
Hyatt must have been playing in the slot.
He had been, yes.
Because the other cornerback was covering Ramel Caton.
Ramel Keaton, yeah. He's been taking over for Tillman
cornerback
on the
was
outside.
so, yeah.
Uh-oh. Choppy's
Sorry,
giggling.
I'm just watching the Broncos Chargers comedy of errors going on here.
Yeah, like I said earlier in the show, if you're watching this game, if that's what you want to call it, it's been a little comical. But
Herbert just threw a pick, and whoever I didn't know who intercepted at 56, ran for a minute, then he fumbled it.
Oh God!
I think the Broncos got it back though. So
have they released the rankings yet for this week? The college rankings?
Yes.
So
the AP has been.
Yeah, Tennessee's 3.
Alabama dropped 6.
Yeah.
Yep. The biggest.
Does Tennessee play Georgia this year in the regular season?
Yep.
Yes.
Well, I guess they're both in the East, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So they play them every year.
Yeah. I'm hoping Florida would beat Georgia this week, or in 2 weeks.
If Florida ain't good.
Yeah, that's wishful thinking, but it
Why
would be nice.
That? The best chance to beat Florida is your Tennessee team, or to beat Georgia is your Tennessee team.
Yeah, before the championship game. Who in Alabama? They play Ole Miss or Mississippi State this week.
They play Mississippi State.
Ole Miss plays LSU.
So the 3 biggest fallers this week was Penn State dropped 6 spots from 10 to 16.
NC State,
North Carolina State. Yeah, they both dropped 8 to 23 and 24.
I'm surprised NC State's still ranked because without Leary, they're not gonna.
I think
I don't know how much that most of the voters probably consider that until they play a game. Right.
And then your biggest mover was, let's see here, TCU moved up 5 spots from 13 to 8.
Illinois went up.
Utah moved up. Yeah, Utah moved up 5 from 20 to 15. Illinois went up 6 from 24 to 18. So Tulane's in at number 25.
6-1.
Go Green Wave.
6-1, yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Cincinnati.
James
I'm
Madison
surprised that
dropped
Cincinnati's
out.
in there. Yeah.
They
Yeah,
finally
they did.
played. They finally. I mean, they had. I mean, I was a little shocked that JMU was ranked because other than App State, they really hadn't played anybody. Their schedule was pretty weak.
No, but they were what, 6-0?
They were 5-0.
Or 5-0.
Yeah, that's why they had the ranking. And your first three out is Purdue, LSU, and UCF. So not a lot of flash there. So
it's weird to me. It's just weird that JMU was ranked undefeated, but Coastal was undefeated too, and Coastal wasn't ranked. And Coastal, I would think, would have a little bit more name recognition than JMU, but
yeah.
And Coastal was actually 6-0. Now again, they hadn't really played anybody either, so
Yeah, that Ole Miss LSU game could be good if Kelly can get them in gear, but I got to think Lane Kiffin will absolutely pile the points on if he gets the chance.
I
could easily see him putting up 60 or 70 if he gets the opportunity to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and he's using – we said it before, he's using his personnel, right? Like normally he's heavy on the pass, but this year it's all about the run.
Yep. Oregon, UCLA, I think it'll be a pretty good game.
I don't even know that Zach Evans is the RB1 there anymore. I would argue it's Quinshawn Judkins, the freshman.
Yeah, he looked pretty good the other day. He's looked good all season.
All year.
They're giving Judkins more carries. I mean, it'd be interesting to see because they've kind of pulled ahead in a lot of games, like what that carry distribution is in the first half. In the first half as opposed to the second half, or when the game's within 7 points or something like that. Because I mean, Judkins would be good, but Evans is a stud, I think, and all this is doing is just saving wear and tear for his NFL career.
Well, and that's what Evans wanted, right? He said that. He said that when he went to Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if PFF will tell you that level of detail. So I'm looking right now.
No, I doubt it does. And Judkins is good too. I mean, maybe it's like a 50-50 split. And since Judkins is a freshman, maybe when they're up, he gets a few more carries in the fourth quarter that they don't give Evans to. And
in this last game, they were pretty even in snaps.
Yeah.
33-34. I mean, pretty close in everything. Only the big difference was that Judkins got 2 touchdowns, Evans got 1.
Yeah.
And Evans is actually grading out better than Judkins.
Evans is a stud. Regardless to what stats say, if you watch that kid play, I mean, he's not too far behind the quote unquote elite guys that they have in this next upcoming draft. And if you think he is, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I'm not.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like you can break it down by when it happens on PFF.
My guess is they probably, like I said, you got a guy that's going to be there for 2 more years as opposed to a guy that's leaving in the spring. And so maybe if you got some extra carries to give, you give it to that guy, the young kid, just to, get him around.
Right.
Where Evans is gone after this, once the season's done. So, and maybe even depending on what level of bowl game you go to, he might be gone before that, right?
And even season long, they're fairly close. I mean, Judkins has about 30 more snaps than Evans, but attempts, he's only 21 higher. He's got 100 more yards and 3 more touchdowns. They're pretty close season long.
All right. So we have a listener question or two from our great listener, Sal Cusimano, who's plays in our listener league, plays in a lot of Devy leagues, a lot of leagues. Period. Yeah, he's a Patreon, always supporting us and everything. So big shout out to him. We thank him for that. He wants to know who are a few guys that did well last year or were at least trending positive, and you thought they would hit this year, but for whatever reason, they've not done much this year. Justin Flo, Oregon, Darren Anders, Bowling Green, Deshaun Pace, Cincinnati, Muhammad Diabate, Utah, Josiah Stewart, Coastal Carolina, Habakkuk Baldonado, Pittsburgh, Darius Snow, Michigan State, Jalen Catalone, Arkansas. Snow and Catalone, they've been injured. Flo's been kind of injured.
Flo's probably been the biggest one, right? Like,
yeah, he's, and I don't know what the deal is there. I know it was injured early on, right? So
the first game he had like 10 tackles, but I don't think he's done anything since then.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's the injuries or what.
I mean, he's someone I expected to have a big year, and he's done absolutely nothing.
Yeah, when I made my rankings, I had him inside the top 15, and I've moved him down.
So it looks like he's only played 4 games.
Yeah.
So
I've moved him down to like 100, and I would probably move him down further than that if he still wasn't so young and had some eligibility left. So
he had 10 tackles against Georgia, and then after that it was 2 tackles against Eastern Washington, 7 tackles against Washington State, and 4 tackles against Arizona.
Yeah, so he's one that's definitely dropped for me.
Anders, I'm not sure what's going on with him. Like he's not terrible, but he's not on the pace he was last year. Last year, I think he had like 120 some tackles. He's probably on a pace for closer to like 80 to 90 this year.
Yep, and Josiah Stewart, I think the case with him, I think teams are, after his breakout year last year, right? They're paying a lot more attention to him.
I think they don't have anything else.
Exactly. They don't have anything else opposite him, so
because they lost,
it's easy to take away one dimension when that's all you've got.
Right, because they had 2 other pretty highly regarded guys last year on that line. Their names escape me, but this year they're missing both of those guys. So, gosh, Hunter was one, right?
Yes.
Trying to think the other guy's name. I'm gonna have to look it up. I can't. Off the top of my head, I can't think of it.
And I'm not sure about some of these other guys. Pace, I thought he was doing.
Well, I think Pace. The problem with Pace is, I think is his brother, right? His brother has just come in there, transferred there, and his brother's just killing it, man. I mean, that's. And it's not to say that Pace is a bad player, but his brother's just kind of taking all the tackles.
Right, and Baldonado, I'm just not sure. I've not watched enough of him to see or know.
I think others have just stepped up.
Yep. Probably, and I'm guessing that's the same thing with Utah with Diabate, right? I think he's just kind of got passed by the talent on the depth chart.
Well, Diabate, I think he always could produce a decent box score, but who knows how good he really was. And I think that's kind of showing again now that he's transferred to another school.
CJ Brewer and Gunter are the 2 I was thinking of.
Yes, Brewer, that's it.
CJ Brewer and Jeffrey Gunter are gone. And so I think that's what's really hurting Josiah Stewart.
Yep.
And I think Diabate was someone that I think, you just thought maybe he might step into Devin Lloyd's role, and he certainly hasn't done that.
Yes. I can't think of anybody else unless you all have got somebody. I can't think of anybody right off the top of my head.
Well, let me look at your rosters here. Give me a second, Hollywood.
So his second question is, who are some guys that weren't high on the radar, but looks like they are in the right spot at the right time and could surprise the rest of the year and maybe in the future after that too. Sean Dolick, Buffalo, 2 years of eligibility left. James Patterson will be gone after the season. Mason Cobb, Oklahoma State, has 2 years left. Jordan Riley of Ball State, 2 years left. And Kareem Reed, Utah, 2 years left. Any thoughts on those guys?
So Dolak, I mean, if he's available, you need to grab him right away because he's in the top 5 linebackers scoring. He has really come on like the last, I don't know, 4 weeks or so. And the surprising thing is he's doing it with Patterson. And so and Patterson's gone after this year. Dolak has the 2 years left, so and he's a group of 5 guy. I don't think you really have to worry about him going to the NFL. He's someone that was not on my radar at all at the beginning of the year. I don't know if he was on anybody's radar. The Oklahoma State kid, I thought it was going to be Xavier Benson there. Before the season, that would have been my guess, but it's been Cobb. So he's another young guy. And Jordan Riley, he was a cornerback last year. He's playing safety this year. He's racking up the tackles. He's probably a free agent in most leagues, be my guess. And then Choppy turned me on to Reed, so maybe Choppy has some more insight on Kareem Reed. But
What? You expect me to wake up here and talk about Kareem Reed?
well, you were the one that turned me on to him, so I didn't want to steal your thunder there.
You stole my Mason Cobb thunder.
Well, I didn't know about Mason Cobb, so I didn't know anything about him. So feel free to talk about him all you want.
Well, no, I think Reed's just filling in at the their linebacker spot, and maybe some of the defense. We talked about Diabate before, and he might be the guy that's kind of transitioning there. He's played pretty well, and I think he's got for sure next year, and if not that, the year after that, where he could, he could still be there. So.
What's going on with Cobb? I mean, I guess Benson's not doing much.
Cobb's good. He's Malcolm Rodriguez reincarnated, basically, is what he is. I mean, I think a similar profile and skill set, and just fits in well with what they do on defense, and makes a lot of plays for him, and is I don't know if you're in the league with me, he's probably not available because I probably own him everywhere, but
I'm looking it up right now.
Elsewhere, I might not own him in Dig, but I know in the other leagues I'm in, I own him. So, he's a guy that I would say go and get right now because I think like I said, he's got some time left, he's got some eligibility left, and
yeah, he's only the listener league he's not rostered in.
He could potentially be gone after this year too, because I want to say he's a redshirt sophomore. So maybe he likes to go for that. I think another guy is Jalen Ford from Texas.
Yeah.
It seems like they're doing some different thing.
I just worry about Ford might jump to the NFL this year. I don't know.
I don't know if he will or won't. I don't know. I mean, to me, a couple years ago, Osai left early for the NFL, but Osai was kind of a different beast where I don't see that with Ford. I think Ford's kind of, for whatever reason, he's kind of taken that Overshawn role that he had last year, and they're playing Overshawn different this year.
Yeah, they let him be more in coverage.
Yeah, and so, I don't know if Ford does or doesn't. I think, I guess if I'm in a C2C league and we're scoring IDPs, I would take a chance on that this year. And if he goes pro, I mean, obviously he feels like his grade's good enough. He's be worth something in the NFL. So,
Well, it looks. I'm just looking at the leagues that we're in. Dolak's owned in every league. Cobb's owned in almost every league. Jordan Riley is only owned in one league, and Reed is only owned in one league. So
there you go, Hollywood. Go pick him up.
I'm sure after all our listeners, they'll be gone quick.
Help out that pitiful defensive ranking that you got going on.
Fight me.
I think Riley is listed in Fantrax as Jordan Riley Scott.
Jordan Riley Scott. And someone asked me the other day about, I know we've talked about it at length on this show, but they asked me the other day about Texas A&M, and I don't know that there's a clear front runner, right? Talking about their young defensive lineman, because it's still a mixed match, which for Texas A&M, you're kind of rotating. You're kind of keeping them all happy. Shamar Turner, 18 tackles, 2 for a loss, a half sack. You've got Shamar Stewart, 15 tackles, 1.5 for a loss, 1.5 sacks. You've got Walter Nolan, 11 tackles. You've got Labius Overton, 10 tackles, 1.5 TFLs a sack. They've got such a mixed match right now of stuff. They don't really they just rotate them, right? So I think for fantasy purposes, I don't know what the answer is to that. I guess if you've got these guys,
well, if it's a C2C league, you got to hold on to them, right?
Exactly, because you've probably got a lot invested in them too. So,
well, and you want the NFL side, whereas if it's a straight CFF league, you're probably avoiding those guys altogether,
right? Or if for some reason you're playing in a league that's really small benches where you're having to make moves, then you may be moving on from them. But even still, I think I would try to hold on to them as long as I could. But I mean, no one of them has clearly stood out yet, has been the thing. They've just all kind of been showing flashes enough to keep everybody hanging on, right? So,
well, one of the biggest sins in C2C leagues is holding on to guys that are doing absolutely nothing for you with the assumption that they're going to be NFL worthy.
Potential is the most deadly thing in C2C,
especially on the defensive side, it's a little tougher to do that, right?
I think on any side. I mean, they're you can say what you want about all this other stuff, but there's ties to certain amounts of production to those guys being relevant in the NFL. And at some point, you need to kick star ratings and all that other crap out the door and say, okay, does this guy do anything?
You do, but I think in the Texas A&M guys' case, they're still so young that I don't think you can.
If they're freshmen and stuff like that, yeah, you have to wait a minute. So
potential is a deadly word in campus to Canton leagues.
Well,
really, what do you do?
Also
do you
depends
hold
on the
to
league
it for
too,
dear
right?
life, or do you do like Choppy said? Hey, you're not cutting it. What do you do? Because you probably got a lot invested in some of those guys, and you just don't want to give up on them. But
the thing is though too is if you're naive enough to go in and expecting to get production from freshmen. I mean, that's the same thing as like drafting a bunch of rookies and thinking it's going to work for you, right?
Right.
I mean, there are freshmen that produce here and there. I'm not saying there's not, but like the large majority of them, it's a learning year for them and things like that, So if you just spent huge on, whatever 5-star player, like, yeah, you shouldn't be disappointed because they're 19th on their team in tackles right now or whatever. So,
yeah.
So, yeah, if y'all don't have anything else, I think that does it for this week. Don't forget to check us out wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Podbean, all those. Please rate, review, and subscribe our YouTube channel. Of course, go subscribe to that. Help us grow. You can go to IDP Nation and leave us a review there under the review tabs. Spread the word. I mean, you can follow us on Twitter at Devy IDP Grind. You can follow us each at Hollywood Titan, at Justice_2318, and at Choppin_KC. We're always glad to help, or at least me and Justice is. If you get grumpy, if you get grumpy, Choppy, he might not be so gracious. But
do you got any documentation that I'm unhelpful, or are you just assuming that?
I just said if they got grumpy, Choppy, they might not be as inclined to say anything.
I would just give you the real truth then.
I mean, yeah,
I'm just playing.
Choppy's great though, right? Just the proof is in the pudding,
is.
man. Look at his IDP teams; they're kicking our asses.
He's helped me when he didn't have to, so that says a whole lot right there.
He helps me too.
That's painful.
Clearly, when he helps me though, he may or may not be inebriated and feel sorry for me. I'm just saying. Now, I will say when he helps me,
whether I'm inebriated or not doesn't mean I always feel sorry for you, Hollywood.
I will say this: if you ask him for help, you're going to get good help. Yep. When I ask him for help, I get good help, but he berates me the whole time he's helping me. So,
well, he helps me, but he doesn't berate me. So it must be you.
Not yet. I might have to start doing that, Justice. So.
Now, generally, when I ask for help, it's leagues that he is not in. But
that's the problem, Hollywood. We overlap too many leagues. He asked me for help. I got it.
I didn't even ask for help in one league, and I got it and got the berating. So I was just like, hey, whatever.
So
he's helping. I'll let it go.
That's right.
He does a really good job helping people. He really does.
And he knows his shit.
He does. Great commish, too. If you're in his league, you know what we're talking about. He is an excellent commish.
Yeah, if you want to be in a C2C league, you need to be asking Brock when he has openings because that's the league you want to be in.
And we have a strict screening process for those leagues too. I can't tell you what that process is, but we have one.
It's not so strict. We're in there, so.
Damn it,
Justice. Yeah, one of my leagues. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I'm in every one of.
I got things going on. Leagues. I'm doing like trades and other stuff, and like
I'm not in all his NFL leagues.
I'm adding Bryce Young in college dynasty leagues, and you guys are asking me questions. I just can't multitask the best sometimes. So,
Hollywood, you're in all the leagues except for one that I'm in with him. Yeah, there's the offense only league that you're not in.
If people are looking for another campus to Canton league, and all they have to do is submit a resume and some references, and we'll get them added in.
Right, and there's a small down payment that you have to put down too. A couple cases of beer.
Hey, I think that assuming Fantrax doesn't get all their ducks in a row, but knowing what Justice can do with the data pool that he's got, which has been awesome, it's saved me thousands of minutes.
Me too.
Yeah, I would. I was going to start I really wanted to start another C2C this last off season, but I just couldn't do it. Because I'm like, I can't sit there and manually score another league and be time bound to anything. But with him being able to do that, I really think that I could start another one next year. So if people are on the lookout, there's probably going to be something coming up for me. Of course, it'll be different than C2C and Legends because I don't like any of my leagues being the same. So
it should be themed.
It needs to be favorite. It needs to be bands. We need to start a full defensive lineup. Like 2 defensive tackles, 2 defensive ends.
I'd be in for that. And it has to be your favorite metal bands or rock bands, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
We voted on that in Legends to do that, and we decided on the movie TV team theme, whatever.
Which I kind of like that theme though. I do.
which is cool. Yeah, I like the Nassau Rebels. I mean, the King of Queens
Yeah.
reference. I mean, great sitcom. You know,
Yep.
I mean, that was awesome. We got some South Park from South Park, of course,
Yep.
and
Yeah, you got South Park and North Park.
Minnesota State from Coach. Totally unappreciated sitcom of the
Oh gosh, that was a great sitcom.
Now,
whenever.
the Campus to Canton, was there a theme or where people were just supposed to pick?
Nah, so that one there, we just like kind of went with it. And the only thing I asked is like make it easy for me to match up college to pro on that. So, but yeah, I'd like a rock and roll themed one, you know.
That'd be awesome, I think.
Yeah. Right. The other one I'm in is cartoons. That's pretty. I mean, just the themes are cool.
So yeah, I don't know, but anyway, I think there will probably be another one this next off season coming up with some different things and like some different scoring things I've like kind of dabbled in over the last couple of years that make things more interesting too. So
Cool. Awesome.
but don't worry, Hollywood won't be good in any of them.
Nope. Absolutely not. I'm just
If it's IDP, you gotta let us in.
I'll let you in. I'm just saying. I just like picking on Hollywood because I miss him. So, but Sal, my boy Sal wants in. I'll make a spot for Sal. So
there you go, Sal. We'll get you in there.
but they're not free, too.
Nope, they're not free.
No.
And you don't have to worry about any of that commission stuff. It's all legit. He does it all through League Safe and money squared away. You don't have to worry about
absolutely 100,000% will never find a better commissioner than Choppy.
I'm telling you right now.
I've been playing fantasy football for I don't even know how long, since I was a teenager. So that's a long time ago.
In fact, he's so good that I just like to give him shit and test him at every corner just to keep him honest. And he does a pretty good job with it. He does.
Yep.
Look at him. He wants to smile so big right now that he can't fucking stand it. Watch.
Well, it's hard to. It's hard to with that flat bill going on. So.
Right.
What are we doing here?
Hey,
16.
This flat bill just knocked off the number one team, so suck it.
I know you got to enjoy that. Enjoy it while you can, right, man?
Oh, I am.
Who knows?
It might not last long, but I'm going to eat it up while I can. So
that's that. You know that.
Maybe they could not. When? How many weeks before they play Georgia?
4, I think.
So it's like the end of the year.
We've got a nobody this week. Kentucky in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you played Tennessee Martin this week.
Yeah, Kentucky in 2 weeks, and then I think we play South Carolina and Georgia. I think is how it goes.
I'm looking at the schedule right now. Oh no, you played Georgia after Kentucky.
Yeah, so 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah. Which I think
then the schedule, then your schedule gets easy after that. Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt.
Which I think after that, if that's our only loss, I think we're still in the running because we're not going to play the Georgia again because they'll have the tiebreaker for the SEC championship.
The problem will be, this will be the problem. If it ends up being Bama and Georgia in the championship, and then Bama beats Georgia, that's going to be the Because then you're going to have 3 SEC teams all with 1 loss. And they all went 1-1 against each other.
And you still got Ohio State and Michigan sitting there undefeated too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think the SEC, I mean, I don't see Clemson, I don't know. I don't see them getting in, but
this is clearly why they push for a playoff right here, right? Because they want to get that 3rd and 4th team in for the SEC.
Well, if let's just say Georgia, Tennessee, and Alabama all have 1 loss, I don't see how you put Clemson in over one of those teams. Well, over 2 of those teams, in my opinion. But if Clemson's undefeated, maybe they will.
Yeah.
Well, Michigan, Ohio State, one of them is not going to be undefeated. They got to play each other. So,
yeah, but that's 2 top 5 or top 4 teams technically playing each other. I mean, how far are you going to penalize the loser, right?
Well, yeah, but
because Alabama only got 3 spots, so.
But I bet you Clemson would get in over one of those teams, 1 loss.
Maybe.
especially if it's Michigan. I think.
I think so. Yeah. You're probably right.
I think yeah. So you're looking at probably 2 of the 3 between Michigan, Ohio State, and Clemson, and then 2 of the 3 between Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia.
Right, a one-loss Big Ten has an
Versus
uphill
undefeated
climb.
ACC.
And I think Clemson undefeated's in. There's no way they're not.
Well, they're in over a one-loss Big Ten. I think. I don't know that they're in over a one-loss SEC.
Well, where it sits now, they're not. Well, no, they're ahead of Alabama, right?
Yep.
Now they're ahead of Alabama. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
So I
at
think
5,
if
Bama
they
6.
play out, as long as they don't keep winning games 31-27 or whatever the heck they beat Florida State.
But if Alabama beats Georgia, say in the championship game, they will jump Clemson.
Yeah, but Clemson might jump Georgia. Clemson's still unbeaten in that scenario.
Maybe. I mean,
So
I think
let's
it's
say
more likely they're going to jump the Ohio State Michigan loser.
So I think an undefeated Clemson's not getting in, or they're in. I think they're too high right now for it not to happen. If you got a bunch of one-loss teams, they'll make it just because they're unbeaten, even though the resume is not as impressive. And they're so Clemson, they carry enough name weight that it's going to happen.
But
Yeah,
I mean,
think the only way
arguably,
that Tennessee gets in is if they beat Georgia and run the table.
Clemson's got to beat Georgia, and then if they beat Georgia and Alabama, then realistically, whatever happens in the SEC championship
Don't matter.
game probably doesn't,
Tennessee
because they'd be
doesn't
number
matter.
one. They'd probably be unanimous number one at that point, and one of Ohio State or Michigan would have already lost at that point. And so
Now, if Georgia loses to Tennessee and doesn't make the championship game, Georgia could be left out.
Yeah, because Tennessee Bama would technically play again in the championship game.
Well, if Bama won that second matchup, Now, if Bama lost again to Tennessee,
they're out.
They'd be out for sure.
the way this is shaping up this year, there's no way a 2-loss team makes the playoff.
Well, yeah,
No.
yeah.
No, because you can't put a 2-loss SEC team even in a. I mean, that'd be hard to argument even over like a 1-loss Michigan team at that point, I think.
Well, and Bama still has Mississippi State and Ole Miss to play, so I wouldn't say it's out of the question. They lose another game before even getting to the championship game.
No, they'll beat the fucking rails off Mississippi State this weekend.
I mean, they should, but
They will.
I mean, it wouldn't be an ultimate shock to me if they didn't.
It'd be a shock to me. What's the
I
spread?
think the only way SEC gets 2 in
I'm looking.
is if Tennessee loses, I think.
I could see, yeah, with the way it is now, I think it would have to have a Tennessee loss to. If Tennessee lost to Georgia in a decent game,
Bama's kind of on the outside looking in right now because Tennessee's already beat them. If Tennessee beats Georgia, runs out, then they got to play them again. So they're 1-1 or 0-2, right? If Georgia wins out, they're undefeated. Then that
Tennessee,
puts,
I think Alabama 100% needs
Tennessee to lose.
They need Georgia to win that game, or Tennessee to lose somewhere, and then they need
Alabama's favored by 21,
and then they have to. Of course, they have to win out, right? Because I think
Right.
like I said that, like I mean, as great as the SEC is, I mean, I don't see a 2-loss SEC team making it in. So they really have no margin for error now. You know, where I could see a scenario where if Tennessee beats Georgia and still loses to Alabama, they could be in the playoff. Or Georgia loses to Tennessee, though, they're not making the SEC championship game.
I think the only way you don't.
They're going to need a lot of help on that. So Georgia loses to Tennessee. They're going to need some help on the outside, you know, because they're not going to get in over an undefeated Clemson team at that point. You know, they're not going to get in over Ohio State or Michigan, whichever one you would say wins the Big Ten.
Right.
Alabama would be back in the picture, too, a little bit. So, yeah, lots.
I'm just glad we're in the conversation.
There you go.
It's been a long time.
All right, we're rambling on. So until next time.
Next week.
Cornhusker Corner by Choppy will be better next week.
Well, we play Illinois, so it probably won't be. So if you want to be here for that, we can do that.
Hey, but you know what can happen this week? We, through the transitive properties of college football, ODU can beat Nebraska this week.
I don't even know what that means. So.
Because we played Georgia Southern, and Georgia Southern beat Nebraska. So,
okay. Well, whatever you got to hang your hat on there.
That's that 6 degrees of separation stuff he's got going on there.
Hey, man, I gotta take what I can get.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.